Hey guys! How are you guys? It's round 2 of our 2, 3, 4 part. I don't even know how many videos we'll get in today. I've got a lot to cover, but this is the fun one because last night the newest season, season 7 of 90 Day Fiancé, debuted on TLC. And we were introduced to 5 couples. It was a 2-hour episode, and rather than doing like a full episode recap, I thought I would just give you a couple recap of what we learned about the couples, and I'll go one by one so that you guys, if you didn't watch it, you'll be able to follow along as I cover all the drama that unfolds in the next season. And then I have some spoilers of things that I found on Instagram and online about some of these couples to give you a little bit of taste for what's to come in the future. So last night's episode was I Want to Kiss You, which was a play on words of a funny little interaction that Marcel and Anna had when he finally arrived in the United States from Turkey. So we start the episode off with the introduction of, Marcel and Anna. Anna and Marcel, they are, Anna is a single mother. She lives in Nebraska. She has 3 children, a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, and I think a 6 or a 9-year-old. 3 boys. And she discusses about how she was in a previous relationship. The father of the boys are no longer in her life. He was not a good guy. He was really mean. But the most interesting thing about Anna is that she is a beekeeper. Yep, that's right, a beekeeper. She says, bees are cute. I don't know how to explain it. She met Marcel through a Facebook group because she said that she had done some online apps, but American men are only interested in sending peeper pictures and wanting to hook up. She met him through a Facebook group for beekeepers, and she said that he started flirting with her almost immediately. She met him by taking a trip over to Turkey. The interesting thing here is that he is a Muslim. She is not. He is into a very clean lifestyle. He does not drink, and he does not like her to drink. And she is someone of the Midwest who said she can throw back 1, 2, or 3 drinks at a time. So there's going to be some interesting things here. Perhaps most interesting, as neither one of them speak the other's language. Yeah, that's right. They have to often use a translator app because she does not speak Turkish. He does not speak English very well. They can understand very basics of each other's languages, but otherwise they rely on an app which doesn't often translate correctly and therefore can make communication difficult. Can you imagine meeting someone and you can't even speak your English or speak the same language? It kind of reminds me of Jehoon and Devin from the last season of 90 Day the Other Way, where he didn't speak very much English, she didn't speak much Korean. They managed to make it work, so it's not something that is impossible, it just makes things more challenging. She actually had met with friends, and so she meets him, they go to Turkey, she basically falls in love with him when they're in Turkey. They have a really good time together. They both are beekeepers. They both have a shared passion for bugs. And she is ready to get married to this man who literally has never been to the United States. She has always gone over to Turkey to visit him. And she's going to introduce this guy to her 3 children. Mind you, he has no kids. This is going to be a freaking dumpster dive, you guys. This couple, I already can tell, is going to provide a lot of drama between not having a shared language, her having 3 kids, him never being in the United States, not ever been a father. They're both 38 years old. And she's a busy, and then they have the differences in their religious backgrounds. He's Muslim, she's not. And during this episode, she actually meets up with a friend who says that she has known her since grade school or since middle school, and that Anna has made a lot of stupid decisions in her life and can be impulsive, but this is probably, as her friend put it, the stupidest decision she's ever made. While they're having wine, her friend is like grilling her about how are they going to communicate, how is this going to work, you can't understand, and joke over like a app. She starts planting all these seeds of doubt into Anna's head, and Anna eventually feels like, well, I once thought this was a good idea, but maybe it's not such a good idea anymore. And then towards the end of this episode, we end up seeing them meet. They meet at the airport, and the communication issue right off the bat is extremely obvious. He arrives, he goes in, he calls over a friend, Omar, who she thinks that somehow because of their lack of communication, maybe he brought Omar with him. There's this awkward pause of like, where Omar is just standing there, and then he's like, oh yes, we just met. And then Omar leaves. And they do these like this greeting, which is probably typical to Turkey, where they hug and they have to like go on each side kissing, different pats on the back. Every culture has sort of their greetings and goodbyes, and that seemed to be how these two men were doing it from Turkey. And then when she's asking him, like, how do you feel about being in the United States? And she has to type it into the translator, and rather than waiting for her to respond for the question, he goes, I want to kiss you. And it's literally, I feel like that sets the stage for the awkwardness that's going to play out between these two. And whether or not this relationship is going to work. There was a lot of teasers that there was going to be some drama, a potential breakup down the line. So much going on with Anna and Marcel. After that, we moved on to a May-December romance of Michael and Juliana. Now, this is an interesting couple because Michael is a self-described wine entrepreneur who is basically loaded. He talks about all the money he has, all the cars he's got, all the very affluent lifestyle that he has been able to obtain. He has a couple luxury cars. He was recently married. He actually had been married for years, met his ex-wife while he was in his 20s. They had 2 children, Max and Cece. I do think his children, Max and Cece, are going to be stars of the show because they are so entertaining, so cute, and they think their dad's relationship is so over the top because dad is 42 years old and Juliana is 23 and from Brazil. He admits that he met her while he was on a yacht in Europe and that it was a celebrity party and she was a model that had been brought over to entertain, which also sort of lays the groundwork of, was Juliana a prostitute? Was she a call girl? That was actually a teaser in the upcoming episodes of something. He says that their age difference doesn't really matter. He absolutely loves her. He will do anything to help her. She is an aspiring model. She has never been to the United States. He has gone down to Brazil to meet her and go down to her where she's from. Where she's from in Brazil is extremely impoverished. She doesn't have a lot of anything. And he said that over the years, he has given her access to credit cards, has spent a ton of money on her. He doesn't care, he said, of the perception that she might be a gold digger that's after him for his money, or that he might be like a skeezy older guy going after a younger girl. She seems to like his cash, and he seems to like to give the cash away. Probably one of the cutest things between this is you see his interactions with his children. His children think their dad is absolutely crazy to have this girl, and they basically, when his dad sits them down and asks them, like, how do you feel about Juliana coming? Because he's going to go down to Brazil for her K1 visa. And you know, the craziest thing of this story is that he tries to get her to come on a visitor's visa, and she's denied. And so rather than finding another way to like see each other, they just decide they're going to get married. And so the only way to get a visa is to do the K1 visa. They're hoping to get her approved for the K1 visa. And Max, his son, is just like, I don't know. She's just like closer in age to me. She's like 12 years older than I am. And my dad is like, he can't even really be her dad. Like, he would be like too old to be her dad, or too, like, there's not enough age between them. He's like too young to be her dad, but she's more like a babysitter. She's like a babysitter age. So I don't think I would look at her like a mom. And then the little girl, Cece, is just like, this is a very unexpected relationship. I just don't know really what I think about this. These kids are an absolute hoot. And then we have an added bonus of their mother, who is in the picture, already super skeptical. She seems to think that like he would know, there's no way in hell Juliana would even be interested in him if he wasn't a wealthy wine entrepreneur, and that she's using him for the money, and that she has a lot of concerns about her shared role as a stepmother to the kids. And Michael even admits that he hasn't even really talked to her about what her role will be and how she will manage being a stepmother to his 2 children. And then we find out that he buys a house within like a block, or one right turn, he says, from his ex-wife's house. This is going to be amazing. I can already tell. Like, with already the idea that she might be a prostitute, the ex-wife already like causing issues between the 2 of them, the kids like calling her a babysitter, I'm gonna pretty much fall in love with Michael and Juliana, I think. And she hasn't even arrived yet, because at the end of the episode, he's still talking about leaving to go see her on her for her first interview in Brazil. Then after they're done, we meet Tanya and Sinjin, and this is an interesting case too. Now, these 2 are wild. So Tanya is sort of this, says she hasn't had a lot of experience. She's not been in a lot of relationships. She has been literally single for the last 6 years. We meet her as she's walking through a sex shop looking for toys. She said that she's adventurous now and looking for adventure in the bedroom. She says that she is an activist and has spent most of her time doing social activism. There's like video of her like getting escorted out of like a Senate meeting where Joe Biden is like speaking to the Senate floor, and she has been being escorted out while she's screaming at Joe Biden. So I can already tell that this is going to be an interesting one too. She says that she meets Sinjin when she goes on a whim to South Africa to see somebody else. Like, so she met a guy on an app who like invited her to come down to South Africa, and she like accepted, and she didn't really like the guy. And then she met Sinjin at the bar, and he was the bartender. And they basically have like a one-night stand that turns into her staying in South Africa for 2 months as they like mountain hike and live off the land and are like this, you know, sort of naturey, natural couple. She says that he's a free spirit and a mountain man. And the interesting thing here is that he, being from South Africa, and her saying, I self-identify as a Latina. Her family is from Venezuela. And because of apartheid having been abolished about 20 years ago in South Africa, she said that Sinjin grew up very racist and not used to people of color. And this is like the first brown person he has ever dated. She said that he has to unlearn a lot of the things that he learned growing up about race. But he's open and willing. But maybe so that will be an interesting aspect of it. But then maybe the more interesting part is that mom thinks she's gonna live in a shed, like in a she shed. Sinjin and Tanya are gonna live in a she shed in Tanya's mom's backyard. You cannot make this up. And Tanya's mom is convinced that he's like a loafer that doesn't give a crap about his future, doesn't seem to have any sort of direction in life. And she is also convinced that Tanya will be too bossy and overbearing for Sinjin. Her sister seems to share the same opinion. She goes and has lunch with her sister, who's younger, who recently got married and has a baby, who basically tells Tanya that she is bossy and a bitch and not nice. And she's not gonna, Sinjin is going to be overwhelmed by her. She's going to turn him off. She's going to make him go away because she doesn't know how to be nice. So you've got mom and her sister basically saying you're overbearing, you're over controlling, he's not going to stay because you don't like him. And then you've got her being like, I love him so much. He's my mountain man. We're natural. And they're going to live off the land, you guys. They're going to live off the land. that's going to be another fun one to see how that all plays out, because they don't really seem to have any sort of plan. All right. So let's see. Couple number 4. Ooh, this is another good one. Emily and Sasha. Emily and Sasha, or Sasha. So she's from Portland, Oregon. He is from Russia. She meets him because she is currently at the time of their relationship starting, she is teaching English in Russia. So she is introduced. She has been in Russia for 3 years teaching English. She talks about how she was a party child, like in her 20s, went to raves, dressed up, was kind of like promiscuous, had a lot of fun, let's just say, and then goes to college, graduates, and then decides that she's going to go to Russia to teach because she loves Russian literature. She is interested in Russia, and she's been in this sort of small town in Russia for the last 3 years. Doesn't speak very much Russian at all because she teaches English, and she joins a gym to meet people because she's so isolated, and she ends up meeting Sasha, who is the personal trainer. Now, interestingly, Sasha has 2 children. He's been married twice before. He's married, I believe, when he meets her. He leaves his ex-wife. This was like in a teaser for episode coming up. Meets his ex-wife, or meets Emily. He and his ex-wife split up. He has a child with his first wife. That ex-wife will only allow Sasha to see his son on holidays. And because of the fact that he's had 2 failed marriages and each marriage has resulted in a child, her family is naturally skeptical that Sasha and her are not going to work out. But Emily is sort of, of the belief that their relationship is perfect, everything is going to be fine, and she's 39 weeks pregnant. So this is going to be interesting. She's about to pop, she said 39 and a half weeks. Sasha says that he is not a bad guy. He's just made some mistakes in his life. And this is going to, we'll see, She's very pregnant. She is talking with her sister on the phone at the very end of the first episode. Her sister is absolutely grilling her about the relationship. Like, how is this going to work? Why is this going to be different? He's already got 2 kids. He doesn't take care of them. Does he know about diapers? Just being kind of nasty to her about it. She's in a foreign country. Why are you staying in there? Why aren't you going to have the baby out here? Like, why are you staying in Russia? They don't have their visa yet, so they can't go to the United States. And then that makes her overwhelmed, to which Sasha shows up to try to help calm her down. And from the very high level of all of this, to be honest, even though they've painted Sasha as a bad guy, he seems like very invested in her. He's incredibly tender to her, very sweet. And is taking care of her as she is like hyperventilating, feeling nauseous because her sister has grilled her and she doesn't have anyone in Russia to help her. So she's got a lot going on, and that's going to be another interesting couple. And then finally, this is my favorite couple. I'm going to not even lie, because Annie and Robert, this is crazy. This dude met her on Facebook through a mutual friend, thought the shorty was hot, goes down and books a cruise after communicating with her for a few months on Facebook, spends literally 8 hours with her, and then proposes and leaves because they were only on the island for 1 day and they've only spent 8 hours together ever. Like, all the other couples have genuine relationships where you can tell they have traveled together, spent time together. Sinjin and Tanya have spent months together. You've got Emily and Sasha, who lived together in Russia. They're just going to be coming to the United States. Michael and Juliana have spent a lot of time together, and Anna and Marcel have traveled together as well. But these 2 literally have spent 8 hours together. He proposed to her on a whim, and he is a single father of a son named Bryson, who he says his mother has abandoned, and now he is raising alone. And he decides he's going to marry the shorty. I already have the whole idea that this is going to be the train wreck. This is going to be one of the train wrecks of this show, because there's absolutely no way these 2 know each other. He's like awkwardly like trying to find lingerie for her because he wants to send her a gift. He has got money that he's sending to her because she's mad and wants money before she comes over to the United States. She's about to come on her K-1 visa, which was approved, by the way. And she's screaming at him because she wants an iPhone. She wants him to send more money. She can't access the money. She wants a bigger diamond ring. Like, you can tell there's going to be some serious drama in this relationship. And he's already like, well, there are some red flags that maybe she only likes me for the money. You think, Robert? You think? There is a lot going on here. So, where do we go from here? Well, lucky for you guys, I did some digging and I found some information from some of these on Instagram, and I was able to locate Sinjin and Tanya. So there they are. Their Instagram, she doesn't have a ton of pictures on hers, but he has a lot on his, where he talks about Tanya just being like the love of his life and how utterly in love he is with her. So I think they're still together. Julia and Michael, I actually found Max's, his son's Instagram, with a comment from her only a few weeks ago saying, I enjoy watching you play whether you win or lose. And then a photo shared on his Instagram of Julia with Michael. So clearly, and this was only a few days ago that he posted this, Julia is clearly still in the United States. She has a wedding ring on her finger. So it looks like these two got married. Then we have Emily in Russia. But then there's her baby. They named him David. And so many adorable photos of this little baby. They came to the United States, it looks like sometime this past summer. There is Sasha floating on a floaty. And this was actually shared on her Instagram from 2 weeks ago of her little baby saying hi to him. So clearly she and Sasha are still together. And then this photo is of Anna and Marcel, and they were actually found to have gotten married. Records were found in Nebraska for a wedding from September. Starcasm found all of that. I was not able to locate any social media for Robert and Annie at this time. Starcasm did an article where they did find out that he had some evictions and some arrests for like some expired tabs and some issues with domestic violence with his ex, and he might have another child. So this will be interesting, and we still haven't met all the couples. So this next episode coming up next week, we'll be introduced to 3 more couples, I believe. And this season, I think, is going to be fun. I'm convinced this is going to be fun. So much drama between, the Juliana and Michael and the ex-wife. I can already tell from previews coming up, because Annie does come to the United States, and Robert's sister is literally trying to write her a check to have her go back to the Dominican Republic. There's issues with Emily and Sasha crying, Anna and Marcel like busting out, and him leaving and going back to Turkey, and her crying and them saying that it's over. And Tanya and Sinjin fighting about a prenup and whether or not he's going to work and if this is going to work out. This is going to be a good season. I'm excited about this. The only thing I'm not excited about is that Angela and Michael will be featured on this season, and I literally don't care about their relationship, and I don't like Angela. Angela from before the 90 days, the woman who is marrying the African man, she is 53 years old, he is 30, not a fan of hers. And then there's 2 other couples we'll be meeting next week. So I want to know what your thoughts are, if you're as excited for this upcoming season as I am. If you have the access or information about any social media for anyone that I didn't find, I actually could not locate Robert or Annie. So if you have ideas on where they are on social media, let me know in the comments below. I love to follow the cast to get all the details and all the tea for you. And that's how I was able to locate that Emily and Sasha and Anna and Marcel and Michael and Juliana all appear to still be together, along with potentially Tanya and Sinjin. We'll have to figure out what's going on with Robert and Annie. But I know that we'll see. We'll see. They all have a high rate of success for marriages because they've all typically come as approvals for their visas. And knowing that we just saw a photo of Juliana and Michael with his son Max, clearly she passed her interview, which she has in next week's episode. So tell me if you are as excited about season 7 as I am, and if you have any comments or critiques about what you saw last night, I'd love to hear below. Make sure, if you have not yet, follow me on Instagram at Without a Crystal Ball. I try to update and share tea with you there. That's a little bit quicker than doing a stream. Or on Facebook at facebook.com/withoutacrystalball. Bye, guys.